Hi, friends. So the scripture says bad company corrupts good morals. If you're around the wrong people, they can change you and make you to the person you're not supposed to be. They can change you and all of a sudden you won't recognize yourself. You have to learn to let go of people that are not good for you, right? A lot of times people don't want to do that because they've known it for so long, or they'll say that's just how they are. It doesn't matter if that's how you are. If your behavior is unacceptable and you're out of control, you have to be able to let them go. And you have to know when their time is up, right? So yeah, it says good. The scripture says bad company corrupts good morals. And you hear stories all the time where people, whatever situation that they're in, and say it's a friend or family, whoever it is, where they keep poking and poking and poking and poking, and then all of a sudden if that person snaps, they make it seem like you're the bad guy, but really they've been probably poking for months or whatever the issue is. But the point is, those people are toxic and you have to get rid of them. You have to get rid of them because you don't want it to change the person that you are. You don't want it to change that the person that you're destined to be, right? If someone's bitter or miserable, don't let that rub off on you. But if you continue to stay in that environment, you will be influenced and you will become like that. You have to cut your ties. You have to cut your ties and just let them go. And I know a lot of times it's hard, but I always remind myself, if I have to do something like that, I always have to remind myself I can do all things in Christ that strengthens me. And I always ask God to give me peace, inner peace, and let my heart be okay. Because when you have your separation, you don't know how your heart's going to take it, right? Your physical heart. So you always just ask to give you peace, and he will give you peace. You will be at peace, and you won't even believe how much at peace you are. You are so at peace, and he'll give that to you. You just have to ask and just be like, Lord, just give me peace and let me get past this, and you'll be absolutely fine. But you have to definitely get rid of people that are not good for your life, because they will bring you down. They will bring you down to their level. You have to be very careful. I'm very careful of who I have around me. It doesn't matter if it's friendship, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. I'm very careful who I have around me, because you go through ups and downs. That's fine. That's normal. But if it's to the point where this person is draining, they don't hold themselves accountable, they're liars, they're schemers, and they're just not good for your spirit, and you just kind of dislike being around them, just cut them off. Cut them off. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. You got to let them go, because my fear would be turning out to be like them or thinking like them. And I don't want to think like that. I like how I am. I like to be sweet. I like to be myself. I don't want to be, aggressive or toxic or however they are, right? So you got to learn how to cut them off. It doesn't matter how long it's been, just for yourself and for your sanity. So I like that scripture a lot. That's probably one of my favorite scriptures. You got to be careful. And you hear about this saying all the time: you are the average of the 5 that you're with. So if you're with them all the time, you're gonna get used to that, and you're gonna think it's normal. That's not normal. That's not normal. I think the first step is you have to realize, what kind of life do you want to live, right? What kind of life do I want to live? Do I want to live like this forever? No, I don't. So if you don't, then you have to learn when to cut them off, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And you have to be open to changes, and changes is always good. It's a great, and if you trust God and his plans for you, everything's going to work out fine anyways. Everything's going to work out fine, right? Also, if we look at Matthew 7 verses 15, it says, beware of false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but deep down inside they're raving wolves. So they disguise themselves as a good person, as try to be part of the in crowd, but really they have an evil spirit, probably a demonic spirit, right? A lot of times, even if you have good qualities about you, they try to bring down that good quality about you. They talk behind people's back. They're just very hateful and vicious people. So you gotta be careful of people like that, because especially the way we identify them to see if someone's being not like wearing a mask and not being themselves is you have to look at their fruits. Like when you see behind closed doors, how are they? Do they hold themselves accountable? Do they always blame people for their issues? Do they say, okay, look, I messed up, or will they blame you for it, or somebody else? It's always somebody else's fault but them. or do they, pretend like to be a nice person, on the outside, but really inside, you know, they're explosive, or whatever the reason might be, right? It's like they're two different people. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde. I think that's what it's called. So you got to be careful of them. And like the scripture says, you know, they come to you in sheep's clothing. They pretend like they're nice, they're sweet, but deep down inside, they're raving wolves. And a lot of times you can tell just how they look at you. You can tell they have like a mean spirit, right? But we don't pay attention to our intuition, right? You have to go based off of what you feel about them, how you feel, and their action, their fruit. It says look at their fruit, their characters, their morals. How do they speak? How do they treat people? You know, and people will pretend for a long time, so you got to be careful for these people. I always look at their fruit, right? You know. Yeah, but it's scary. It's scary. People will wear masks and pretend like they're a good person, but really they're demonic. They are an evil spirit, and you have to cast them out, and you have to, you know, ask God to give you strength to get them out of your life for good. Get them out. Nowhere near around me. I don't want any evil spirits. The reason why you have to ask God to remove them out of your life and to give you strength and help you, because it could be a demonic bondage. It could be some kind of evil bondage to this person. You have to be able to just remove them, and you have to just cast them out, get away, and you have to ask God to do it. I'm telling you that works. I always say, please Lord, remove any demonic bondage that I have, any kind of unhealthy attachment that I have, remove them, Lord. Get them out of my life. If they're not from you, get them out. And you need strength, because the scripture said we don't fight against flesh and blood. We fight against principalities of higher places, wicked places. So you're fighting against like the spiritual realm. You're not fighting regular humans. So there is a such thing as a demonic bondage, and it's not healthy, and it's there to destroy you and to get you out of your purpose. And that is 100% true. That is 100% true. When I used to hear people talk like this, I used to be like, what are you talking about? I was so confused, because I was an earthly person, right? But when you read the scripture more, you're learning more about it, or maybe even if you've experienced it, you're like, it is true. It is true. People that think like that are on a high different level, either they've experienced it or studied it or something, right? And people don't understand them, but it's true. What they're saying is 100% true. You know, so sometimes there is like a demonic bondage. You know, some people call it spiritual warfare too, and that stuff is true. That stuff is true. And you know, so you have to ask God to remove any kind of demonic hold, demonic bondage or spirit that's around you, near you, that's attaching you to someone that's not good for you, that brings you down, that's unhealthy, that's abusive, that's not a good example, whatever it might be, destructive, right? Because eventually it's going to make you depressed, it's going to make you sad, you're going to become a whole different person. And you know what you get to lose after all that, putting out with all that? You get to lose you. So you're choosing yourself over this person? No. Do not, no. Don't ever choose anyone else over yourself. Because if you're the one that's changing, you're the one that's on the receiving end, you're one that's receiving the impact of their behavior, is changing you. So you're sacrificing yourself to keep them. And that's not right. You don't do that to yourself, right? So yeah, you have to ask God to remove any demonic bondage that you have with someone, any ties that you shouldn't be having. You know, I always ask God, please God, remove any demonic bondage that's not from you, Lord. Any kind of bondage, any kind of unhealthy attachment, remove them. I cannot do by yourself. I need your help, right? And whatever happens, I always say, please, Lord, give me peace, give me inner peace, and guard my heart, right? Because you don't want it to change who you are. That's the thing. You don't want it to change who you are. You don't want it to change your purpose. Just take it as a lesson learned and know for the future. Yes. All right, bye, friends.